Welcome to Corrective Consciousness, episode 247, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. I'm your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And Dracologist.
And we have another wonderful topic-based show here for you. Kind of like we were talking about last week, we really wanted to explore the items that may be really tough to find after the closure of the PS3 and Vita and PSP versions of the PlayStation Network. So apparently you will still be able to download your games that you have purchased and also redeem codes and that kind of thing, and still get things like updates, for games, that you bought on disc or whatever, like that. But we want to make sure that you have purchased everything that you really want to, and we kind of just have some favorites on here. This is, of course, not a definitive list, nor is it a list, a definitive one of everything that we like. But it should give you a good survey of everything on here. So, obviously, I think that the PS3 is going to be the most prominent thing on here. But also remember, the PSP has tons of games that were never ported elsewhere. The Vita, less so than all the other ones. But also in danger of here are... a ton of PS1 and PS2 games that are playable on the PS3, and PS1 games are also playable on PSP and Vita. So
yeah, that's actually one thing I wanted to point out. I mean, like, we can point out individual titles, obviously, and we did that last week, but let me just be really quick here and say literally every single PS1 game on the PlayStation Store, because they're not available for PS4.
Yeah, some of the PS2 games are available for PS4. For instance, Metal Slug Anthology is a pretty good one that's crossed over, so that has Metal Slugs 1 through 6 on it.
Yeah, I actually didn't realize that anything did cross over, because there's a lot of stuff on PS3 that didn't, and then there's stuff on PS4 that's only on PS4, like Eternal Ring, or Dark Cloud. It's like, why is that not on PS3? Oh well.
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff like the King of Fighters Orochi Saga is on PS4, and that just recently had a limited run games edition put out. So I mean, there is some crossover, and there are some PS2 games that did get put on PS4, but I don't understand why the PS1 games didn't make the cut. I don't know why they didn't do a PS1 emulator for PS4, just because, PS1 games I think still sell relatively well, or would if they had a place for you to play them. So I don't get that, but
especially considering how expensive the physical things are getting, especially recently, like Silent Hill 1, Xenogears, like I mean, we talked about this last week, like Tron Bonne, like that shit's skyrocketing, but it's still like $6 on PSN.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna just go into the PS1 games because I think they're amongst the things that we're gonna miss the most. One of my favorite games that you would need to get a Japanese account for here would be a shmup called Harmful Park, which is a cult shmup hit, but it's kind of a cute 'em up. Your character can throw it's very creative. One of the modes, the methods of attacking is like throwing pies. It has you shoot jelly beans in another mode that your ship has. It's just a really colorful, kind of circus themed, really fun shmup, and it is super, super rare. I think if you wanted a physical copy of it, I think it costs you something like $500 these days, and it's like $5, $6 if you buy it, on the Japanese store with some points, that you got from Play Asia or something like that. Two of my favorite adventure-style games ever. Tomba 1 and 2. They're thankfully on the US PSN. I absolutely love these two games. They're two of my favorite games of all time. I really, really love them, and they're kind of like a 2D. They're kind of like a Metroidvania kind of game, but with like a lot of different quests that you need to go on and figure out.
Tomba is Tomba is that little caveman boy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, with the pink hair.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of looks like almost like Caveman plus Goku, like if you were to like kind
So
of.
this is Jungle Boy style, Japanese gem.
Yeah, yeah. It looks almost like Wonder Boy, almost like that. But a very charming couple games, and Whoopi Camp only made those two games. Unfortunately, they didn't sell well, but they were two of my favorite games when during the PS1 era. Mega Man Legends 1 and 2, along with Misadventures of Tron Bonne. All three of those games are on the PlayStation Store in the US. They are all absolutely worth your time. Misadventures of Tron Bonne might be the best out of them, which is saying a lot because I really like Mega Man Legends 1. But Misadventures of Tron Bonne is just something special. It's very charming. The voice acting is really great too. I don't think you can understate how great the Suikoden games are, especially Suikoden 2.
Yeah,
Lotus
now that
would
I've
have more
recently
to say
played them
about it.
too, especially. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are good games. I'm curious, you planning to do the third games or any more of them? Lotus?
Yeah, I just didn't want to do them in a row because it's exhausting, but yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
3 and 4 are also on the are playable on the PS3, right?
Yes. One thing I want to point out, by the way, is that Suikoden 3 is, of the over 1,000 games on the PS2, it is the only one that accepts save data from a previous, like from a PS1 game. So Suikoden 1 save data transfers into 2, and 2 transfers into 3, although it's very minor. Like 1 to 2 was way more significant. But
Sure.
one thing I want to point out is that technically that's not possible on the PS3, even though all 3 games are available, because they didn't program that into the memory card function or whatever. So even if you download all 3 games, you can't normally do it. I will point out, though, if you want to do a little bit of Googling, you can find a maxed save file of Suikoden 2 with like another file attached to it that you can put onto a flash drive and put into your PS3 and force onto your I forgot, 1 or 2 memory card or something. And if you load that file in Suikoden 3, then it will accept it. I have personally tested this.
Neat.
Like The Witcher,
It's
you
good
can
that you have
transfer save files.
With The Witcher?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if you were playing on PS1 and PS2 consoles, then you just do it. But on PS3, you have to jump through an extra hoop to go, like, download a save file with, like, a thing that makes it understand it, because they didn't bother putting it into the PS3.
That's a bit of a difficult to jump.
Yeah, like, it's not hard, but it's like, who would think to do this? It's just dumb.
There's also Strider 2, which has Strider 1 and 2 in it, kind of misleadingly. Strider 2 is an amazing game and has never been ported elsewhere. Strider 1 has been ported all over the fucking place, but the PS1 port is the only port of Strider 2, and it did get onto the PSN, so definitely pick that up. It is absolutely worth your time. Parasite Eve 1 and 2, I believe, are still on there.
Yeah, and to deviate slightly, Third Birthday is available on the Vita store as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, as a PSP game, right?
Yes.
So, definitely pick all 3 of those up. Parasite Eve 1 is really the one you need out of the 3 of those.
Yeah, I heard 2 was pretty good and 3 was bad.
3's just garbage.
I've played 1. I liked it quite a bit.
3 was weird.
Yeah,
that's what I hear.
Square Enix and Capcom games are going to be the ones that shine here, because Capcom really did put a lot of their really best stuff on the PS1 store. Konami a little bit less so. I don't think they put. Did they ever put Silent Hill 1 on there? I think they
Yes.
did. They didn't put Silent Hill 2 though as a PS2 game. I don't think. But they did put.
Well, no, because like remember they famously lost the source code, which is why the HD release is garbage.
Yeah.
So yeah, PS2 release is unfortunately not happening. But PS1, Silent Hill 1, yep, it's there.
Yeah, and if you go onto the Japanese store, they also have what might quite possibly be the best Gradius game, Gradius Gaiden, which never made it to the United States until the PSP Gradius Collection, which is also a way that you could play it if you want to get the digital version of that. Also, LSD Dream Emulator is another Japanese PSN exclusive.
Yeah, that's another thing where if you care to
out.
get a physical copy, it's probably $400 or $500, or $5 to $10. It's fine.
Yeah, this is an extremely interesting game. Definitely not for everyone, but it is just something unusual and kind of fun to play with. And it is worth your $5.
And by the way, one thing, you mentioned Capcom games particularly shine. There is something that I think can be surprisingly overlooked that I feel I should point out.
Go for it.
Which is the PlayStation 1 releases of Resident Evil 1 and 2, and I think 3, because those are all getting overwritten, aren't they, with their respective remakes. So
yeah, that's
the actual original Resident Evils. Although one thing I will point out, the American PlayStation Network has the greatest hits director's cut, which I don't think Europe got, and they're probably thankful for it. So it's the one with the jank music, but with the analog controls. So if you want the original director's cut, which in my opinion is the way to go, get it off of the European PlayStation Network store. But like, yeah, the OG Resident Evil games, because they're being overwritten now. Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3 are their GameCube remakes, which have gotten the HD remaster, and Resident Evil 2 and 3 have their PS4, Xbox One remakes. Yep. Remember where they came from. This is it.
Yeah, and they play completely different, so they are worth playing on their own.
They're old school PS1 fixed camera angle games. Resident Evil 1's remake is at least spiritually similar, but 2 and 3 went in a way different direction.
Absolutely. And along with that, we're going to be losing Dino Crisis 1 and 2, which are... Dino Crisis 2 in particular, I really love. I really love.
1 is okay, but 2 is it doesn't even try to be horror.
It's a unique game. There's nothing else like it.
You can actually run and fire at the same time, which is insane for a PS1 game.
It's an action game. It's much more of an action game than any other type of game in that.
Jurassic Park. It's a fixed camera angle Jurassic Park Dino shooting up.
Yeah, and it has like combos and stuff. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, you rack up a combo count and try to clear the screen before it runs out. It's great.
It's an amazing game that not enough people talk about. It's and it didn't get the credit it deserved. In fact, I think a lot of what they learned there they brought to Resident Evil 4 later on. And
I almost thought you saw into say Blue Stinger.
Oh, Blue Stinger. Oh, Blue Stinger. But this is not a Dreamcast episode, unfortunately, so we can't go into that. But we're also going to be losing the versions of Persona 1 and 2 that are on the PSP, and also the PS1 second half of Persona 2.
Yeah, that was the thing. We only ever got Persona 2 Eternal Punishment on PS1. We didn't get the first half of the game, but then the PSP had a collection of 1 and 2. And those
it was not a collection. It
wasn't even a collection?
Games. They are two separate
excuse me. But in any case, those are available on the PlayStation Store. Those are among the more expensive ones. Those are like $20 each. But I mean, it's that or $1 bajillion for a physical copy because Persona really has a premium now, especially now that 5's gotten so popular.
Yeah, and I also want to go into PSP game or PS2 games because there's God Hand on PS3, which is one of the best ways to play it.
The first one to make it to a PlayStation Store, by the way, the first PS2 game.
Yeah, and Tulip is on there, which is also really expensive these days.
That's a weird one.
Yeah.
By the way, do you know the significance of the title?
Chu means
Kiss.
like kiss
Yeah,
sound.
it's the
Yeah,
kiss onomatopoeia. Yeah, it's the Japanese moi,
yeah.
and then lip. So
Well,
it's right
lip is
there.
lip. Yeah. And then Siren, right, is also on there. The original
Yeah,
Siren.
I believe Siren is. Last time I checked, and this is years ago to be fair, but I did not see Siren on the European store, which is ironic because Siren 2 is a European game. Well, I mean it's a Japanese game, but it made it to Europe and not America. But yeah, the first Siren, I believe should still be on the American PlayStation Store, and that's that game. Like, it's hard to get into, but it might get something of a premium because every PS2 horror game is getting a premium now, and it also happens to be made by the Silent Hill devs. So it's like, oh, look, this is that other thing they did. So it's
Yeah,
interesting
and
for that too.
it also has its defenders that say like if you really play it, it really starts to click. But I never could get into it myself.
Well, that was the thing. Yeah, like I tried it for 20-25 minutes, which is not a very long time, and I got
but it's
frustrated
long enough
by
to
it.
see.
But if I ever sat down to Let's Play it, I think I would have to make
Yeah,
it click.
it
So I
wasn't
think I
the
would
Siren
appreciate it
is
more.
one of those games that where you constantly get killed, even like get one-shotted by a possessed policeman and then
Oh, yeah.
get shot
Yes.
as the ending of
That
a
was
summer
actually
story.
one thing that was actually one thing I thought was extremely cool about how that game starts, by the way, because you're just some guy and you see an obviously possessed policeman, like you were saying, just like and just like walking
He
toward
can
you all
kill you
weird, and you're
very
like,
easily. Yeah.
yeah, and you're like, okay, and then gameplay starts. And you like immediately hear him start firing at you. You're like, oh fuck! So like you do not have time to like look around and get accustomed to the controls. Like you are immediately being shot at. You're just like, oh shit!
Yeah, it's
So you have
terrifying.
to get your stuff. Yeah, that like as awkward as that game is to play, what a start! Like that's great.
Moving on from that, I did want to talk about some PSP games because there, as I said before, there are tons of PSP games that are not available elsewhere. That you would want to play either on a PlayStation TV or a Vita these days. Playing them on an original PSP is not something I would particularly suggest because hooking up to a Wi-Fi router these days with an original PSP is kind of tough. They use outdated protocols, and it's just way better experience playing them on a Vita. They look a lot better. So I recommend playing them on the Vita, but you have a lot of PSP games from Capcom that were really great, that didn't sell well but were really cool. There is a remake of the original Mega Man X that turned out really, really good. I might like it better than the original SNES version.
Oh, the Maverick Hunter.
Yeah, Mega Man Maverick Hunter X has an entire second campaign where you can play as Vile, and he has all of his he has his own ways of going through it, and
Yeah.
he has his own storyline, so his interactions with the bosses is a lot different than Mega Man's. So I really enjoyed that version of the game. I thought it was like super good. It also has save feature, which the original Mega Man X did not, because it was a password game. So
Yeah, I was just gonna mention the best you could do was those 16 character passwords.
exactly. And then at the same time, they basically remade the original Mega Man, and the original Mega Man's not very good. It is very difficult and unbalanced, and has some good music in it and great foundation for the rest of the series.
That was, that was the start of an idea, and everything was just smoothing out the cursor from after
Exactly.
Yeah, Mega Man walked so Mega Man 2 could run.
Yeah, exactly. Mega Man 2 is considered by a lot of people to be the height of the series, but they went back and remade the original game and made it like cutesy and fun, and they added a couple bosses that were not originally in it to like the extra modes, and I thought that was really cool. They had like Oil Man, I think, is one of them. That is a very charming, fun game, and I think you can make your own levels in it. It has like a level generator in it, so it's really a shame that they didn't continue the series of remakes after these, because these were both excellent remakes that challenge even the original versions of their games. And totally worth your time. Really, really good stuff. There's also a Ghouls and Ghosts game that is unique to the PSP. It is the one that basically is after the Super Nintendo one. This is Ultimate Ghouls and Ghosts, because I don't think there was anything in between that other than maybe the Maximo games, if you want to count those.
Oh yeah, I forgot about those. Those were the spiritual Ghouls and Ghosts games.
Exactly. They even had the Ghouls and Ghosts like themes playing in certain
nice.
sections of the game. But Ultimate Ghouls and Ghosts is very divisive. Some people really love it, but there are people out there that absolutely hate it. It made it very explory, and kind of it's a lot different than the other games in the series. Let's say that. It is worth checking out, though.
A small tangent. Is there some sort of connection between Ghosts and Ghouls and the Castlevania series?
No.
No?
Capcom and
not that I'm aware of. Like, they're both Castle kind of games, but otherwise, no. Especially because it's Capcom versus Konami.
Yeah, exactly. Two different companies.
Like, I mean, I could see there being some kind of crossover game, like Cannon
just
Spike or whatever, but it's still different companies.
Thematically, similar.
Yeah, it feels like Arthur could probably exist in the Castlevania universe, but he doesn't.
Yeah,
it's just because I like not just the Castle thing, like and the large monstrous enemies, but like the one thing that taught to me was that both of the games have axes that are thrown up in an and fall down in an arc.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah. Also, the original Ghosts and Goblins is one of the very first platformers that we have, 2D platformers, like modern scrolling 2D platformers. It came out shortly after Pac-Land, which is considered the first one, and then like right after that, Ghosts and Goblins came out, and then Super Mario Brothers, the original. Very influential.
You know what I think? Like this came up to my head. Like Ghosts and Goblins kind of fills out the space between Contra and Castlevania.
In what way?
Well, just like it's between like it's a one like it has the gothic style, but it's a more of a run and gun style of game.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean,
does make sense.
Ghouls and Ghosts, Ultimate Ghouls and Ghosts, I think is worth your time, but it's certainly different than even Resurrection, which just came out recently. So, I do want to move on though. There's also a very cool and unique version of Street Fighter Alpha 3. It's called Max Plus. It has characters that no other version of Street Fighter Alpha 3 has.
Wow.
So yeah, the PSP version is actually the definitive version of Street Fighter Alpha 3, and it's never been ported elsewhere. Are
they unique characters, or are they characters I've heard of that just are in this version of Alpha 3 and
they are
otherwise just other Street Fighter
characters that you know from other games, but are never in any other version of Street Fighter Alpha 3. So yeah, it's Street Fighter Alpha 3 Max. I'm sorry. So this includes Ingrid, which is never in any other version of Alpha.
I don't even know who that is.
Ingrid.
I mean, I'll look that up, but you go ahead and tell me who the characters are.
Yeah, let me see here. Yeah, she's barely in anything else. And there were a couple other versions. Oh yeah, so the GBA also has a. What was that?
Yeah, I'm just looking up Ingrid. Like, what?
Yeah,
Who?
yeah, I don't know. But she's
in Capcom Fighting All Stars, which was canceled. That was gonna be her first game.
Mm-hmm.
Then Capcom Fighting Evolution. So that's the only thing she's from is Capcom Fighting Evolution.
Yeah.
And then Street Fighter Alpha 3
So
Max.
an unusual character, yeah. Yun, which is from Street Fighter Alpha or Street Fighter 3.
I remember Yun from Capcom vs SNK 2. Like, he's not from that, but that's where
he's from Street Fighter 3. But yeah, he was added to the GBA version of Street Fighter Alpha 3, and also carried over to the PSP one. So this is like the first time it's over in a larger resolution. Maki from Final Fight is in this
Maki
one.
keeps showing up in the most esoteric things.
And
Like, again, Capcom vs. SNK2, that was a big game, but it's like, oh, and also we have Maki. Like, okay, I guess.
and Eagle,
From Street Fighter 1.
and Eagle, who is an unusual character. He's only in Capcom vs. SNK2 and Alpha
Well,
3.
he isn't he Street Fighter 1?
Yes, correct.
Because I remember when I saw him Capcom vs. SNK2, I was like, what game is this guy from?
It's the
Little did
guy
I
with
know
the
he was a
mohawk, I
Street
think.
Fighter character.
I think it's the guy with the mohawk. Yeah.
No, Birdie's the guy with Mohawk. Eagle is the guy with the twin sticks.
Oh, okay.
He has a funny interaction with Zangief because he comes in twirling and Zangief comes twirling doing his lariat and they bounce off of each other. It's really stupid.
So yeah, an unusual version of Street Fighter Alpha 3. With better controls and than the GBA one and a better look to it as well. So yeah, certainly worth your time if you are a Street Fighter aficionado, though it is going to be very difficult for you to play a 2-player game of that.
But you could brag to your friends. So like, oh, I know Ingrid. No, you know what you do is you get a PlayStation TV and hook up 2 controllers. Boom, you're done.
Yeah. I don't know if that works.
Oh, that would suck.
Yeah, because like it would need to link up to another PSP. Like another PSP enabled thing.
That's true. Yeah, under normal circumstances.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I don't think that's a thing. There's also a unique Power Stone collection on this. Power Stone was a really fun multiplayer fighting game series of 2 games on the Dreamcast and the arcade.
And an series.
What was that?
That's right.
And
animated
series.
Series.
Yeah.
No,
and
you're right.
And it was 4-player as well. And the Dreamcast natively had 4 controller ports, so that was like a good party game if you had it.
To clarify, the second game was 4-player. One was only 2-player. But it was a really fun and interesting fighting game series that was kind of similar to like Smash Brothers in concept, because you run around the level, not the same way, but it looks more like a diorama than...
Yeah, you have more... You move around a 3D space. What?
That most fighting games are from like side perspective, and this was more of a top-down.
Yeah, this is sort of like an isometric almost, or well, not isometric, but like a top-ish
diorama.
Like, you could see, yeah, like so. You move around in a 3D space and you pick up power-ups that fall like in areas. That's like the Mario Smash thing. You could like break off pieces of the level, like a light post, and hit people with them. It was pretty wild.
So these were. The first one in particular was a big early hit for the Dreamcast, and one of the games that helped sell systems, believe it or not. But unfortunately has been entirely neglected since the Dreamcast, other than with this this other release, which was
I was gonna say, like this is kind of a different release, so I don't know if I'd call it a port. And if you don't call it a port, then Power Stone's never been ported.
What's cool about this one is it's also unique. A couple of the characters from the first game now can be playable in the second game when they weren't before, and 4 of the characters from the second game are now playable in the first game when they weren't before.
Oh, that's clever. I've seen bringing back characters, but yeah, only collections get to do something weird like that. It's like in Soul Calibur 3 when you could play as Li Long again, and you're like, wait, who was that guy? He's like Maxi before Maxi.
Yeah, I really loved Power Stone 1 and 2. I had a lot of fun playing both of them with my friends back when I had a Dreamcast. So this is absolutely worth your time. But again, and they're fun 1-player. I should add, these games are fun single-player, but again, you're going to have problems playing this multiplayer because of the nature of it.
That's unfortunate.
It like really stinks.
The ultimate party game, and it's like single player.
Yeah, it really stinks because of the workarounds for it. But I have to mention that. And there's also some really great Capcom arcade collections as well on the system that I just had to mention. There's also Persona 3 Portable, which was a probably the best version of Persona 3 to play because you can actually control your party in this one, and also you can play it as a female protagonist as well if you choose that. So that it's not definitive because they do strip some features out of it, but it is probably the version of Persona 3 to play. There's also a really great first-party strategy RPG called Joan d'Arc. Joan of Arc. And there's also the Sting RPGs. Sting is known for other things other than Baroque Lotus.
No, it's not. It's bullshit.
They made some really fantastic PSP games that were remakes of GBA games, actually, most of them. But you have Riviera, The Promised Land, Eater Union, Knights of the Nightmare, and the final one that came over in English was Hexus Force. Those are all absolutely worth your time. They're a lot of fun.
Oh, I love Hexus. Tim Curry has a great singing voice. Anybody?
No.
Anybody?
No.
Does anybody even know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Nope.
Oh, Dracologist, what is it?
It's a movie.
My man. Yeah, Fern Gully.
Oh.
Tim Curry was the villain who was named Hexus, which is spelled differently from how it is in Hexus Force.
Oh, okay. I was so we can mention Robin Williams as a rapping bat as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we can, I guess.
And
Rip.
as I kind of thought, I think we're going to have to kind of split this one up into two episodes because we got through PSP, PS1, PS2 games, but we haven't gotten to Vita and PS3 games yet. And PS3 is obviously going to be the showstopper here. So we should actually this is the showstopper because we're stopping the show.
Hey.
But we should move on to fan stuff, Lotus.
Yeah,
so
this will be on the quick side. We have a couple of comments from Living Corpse. One of them. Several theaters are taking COVID very seriously. MERV-13 air filters you'd normally see in hospitals, reduced auditorium capacities, cashless transactions, electrostatic disinfectant sprayers. There's more, but you get the idea. And mask mandate. So, okay,
cool.
Fair enough. That's a good way of doing it. And then the other comment by Living Corpse. This is in response to what I was talking about last time with distinctive Sega sounds. He says, looks up Thunder Force 4 Metal Squad.
Uh-huh.
It does shred metal.
So good.
Damn right it does.
That game rocks some butt rocking music.
Yeah, it's
Look up the remixes of it.
I heard the SSH remix. That thing is just untouchable. Like that is the best. My favorite YouTube comment for that one is something like my blood has completely turned into gasoline. It was great. Okay, so our question this week is from Baka Sensei. We only have one more question after this, just as a reminder, but this week is Baka Sensei. On the Microsoft mega purchase of ZemiMax, so like Bethesda, Activision, Buzzard, etc., and what would it mean for the gaming community of Sony? They're just playing cool for now, letting everyone know that it would still work on their consoles, and all their announced games will still be released, but after this? So Microsoft buying companies that big, like that's a big deal. So do you think this is going to affect stuff like crossplay or exclusives or what?
I'll go ahead and say this, that Microsoft has been more egalitarian than the other main publishers of console stuff lately.
They actually have. Because I keep thinking of the Xbox One era where they were the timed exclusive people, and they got some flack for that. Like Rise of the Tomb Raider was a year Xbox exclusive, and we're all like, fuck you, we'll wait a year then. So yeah, maybe they've turned over a new leaf with stuff like this, because it makes me think of, this is going to drive me nuts. I'm sorry, I forgot the game. Maybe it was Fortnite or something, I forgot. But I remember Sony, when asked about crossplay for some game, they had said something like,
you're right.
It was Fortnite?
They
had said something like, oh, well, everyone would be playing on like a PlayStation console anyway because we're the best or whatever. Like, you won't need to worry about crossplay. But it's like, You're not supposed to take shit away from people. So hopefully, yeah, if Microsoft acquires Bethesda, for example, they're still going to let Bethesda publish. Like, hopefully they'll still let Bethesda publish wherever, because you don't need unnecessary bad blood of you just like taking something away that people already had.
I go by precedent. I mean, so think about it this way. Minecraft was really the first big multi-console hit that Microsoft let just go wild wherever. And it worked out super, super well for them. It is the best-selling video game of all time, right? I don't think that's...
It's funny, because I still find it a little weird when I see it for sale for PS4. I'm like, oh yeah, they let that happen.
So, and they since then have done that for tons of other games. They haven't done it... So, they kind of have two things that they do. They have the thing where they go, okay, we will make it available on Xbox consoles and PC. They'll do that, but then sometimes they'll allow it to be on everything. So they will at least make Bethesda games work on PCs and Xbox Series consoles.
Even Cuphead hit like
the Switch
and PS4, and like. Wasn't that like partially funded by Microsoft?
No, it's a Microsoft game. It's essentially a Microsoft game. The Ori games are on Switch as well, and PS4.
That's right. Yeah, those were Xbox and PC, but yeah, those have also hit Switch.
Those are Microsoft Studios games too.
I have to play the second game.
Yeah, same.
They are Microsoft Studio games. They're not even like just funded by Microsoft. They're like Microsoft games. So
and now I Am 8-Bit has this like collector's edition display for like the Switch versions.
Yeah, so I think that you can count on them to at least make it available for Xbox Series systems and PC, which is a bigger deal than what Sony has only recently has been making their games available in the same capacity, PC.
Very recently. Like
PS4.
PlayStation stuff was PlayStation stuff. It's only a recent development that the Yakuza stuff's on PC and Horizon Zero Dawn is on PC.
I was probably the biggest thing that they've ever done is the MLB game. MLB The Show just came to Xbox, and
yeah, that's
a straight up Sony game. That's made, I think, by one of their first parties. First party developers. So, they might have needed to do that. I don't know whether you could totally say that it was egalitarian or whatever. But they might have had some pressure put on them by the MLB to be like, if you want to be the exclusive holders of the MLB license, you better make it available everywhere.
But at least it's a precedent, and more people can buy it. Like, what's the catch?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you have Horizon Zero Dawn on Steam right now, which is kind of funny to see. Because
and even GOG.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Death Stranding was...
fixed, by the way?
What was that?
I'm sorry?
Horizon Zero Dawn. Has it been fixed?
I think so.
I don't know.
I think so.
Right.
I do know that Death Stranding was heavily financed by Sony, and that is on the PC as well. So I mean,
yeah, that's like, I mean, Vice. I know you started it. You started it before I did. Dracologist, do you ever start that one?
What?
You ever start Death Stranding, or have you ever tried it?
Sadly, I'm afraid no. But I watched a really long play of it.
Well, because the thing I was going to mention is that like. Boy, oh boy, you could tell it's a Sony game because, like, we kind of associate Kojima's name with Sony. Like, I don't really picture him as a Nintendo guy, for example. But, like, the opening act of that game, when it's going through the credits, it's like a concept by Hideo Kojima. His name is, like, 6 times in a row. It's a Hideo Kojima game.
It's comical.
Like, we get it.
Yeah.
They really beat you over the head with it. Have you heard of this guy? Because if you haven't, you have already and will some more.
Could you imagine Hideo Kojima making Minzy Mario?
Yeah, I mean, just a Hideo Kojima Mario.
It's an interesting game that isn't for everyone, but also I'm glad that it exists. It's just like one of those things.
Yeah, I'm happy I beat it.
Yeah, I want to play it more, but I also can understand why you wouldn't like it if you don't.
Yeah, like
It
if
feels
you've gone through the first couple of hours of gameplay and you don't like it, stop playing because that's the game. That's the whole thing.
I always like to call Death Stranding is the human mode Elite Dangerous.
See, I wouldn't know because I never touched Elite Dangerous.
Yeah, but just basically running errands for people. Is that what you mean?
Well, it's a going through big empty void spaces with like occasional present danger of natural or non-natural sources,
Okay.
carrying stuff back and forth, harvesting resources. It's a
Yeah, that's Death Stranding, all right.
So this is
Yeah.
why I generally call it like the human version of
Yep, you are a delivery man.
I really think that we are in an unprecedented era. I don't ever think Nintendo will ever do the same thing. That
cowards.
At least
If
not.
Nintendo went to PC, that would be the most earth-shattering thing. Like it was crazy enough when Mario went to what was it, Apple Arcade?
Yeah.
The Mario Runner game.
Sure.
That was ridiculous. Like I never saw that one coming. But even so, even though it actually happened, I will still say if Nintendo ever hits PC, that would just be like the most earth-shattering thing.
Yeah, especially like a Zelda game. Zelda games would do gangbusters on PC.
Yeah.
Or Pokemon would do gangbusters on fucking PC.
People play Pokemon on PC, or they call it emulators.
Well, I'm just saying they would
people
sell
have been doing
it.
it the entire time. Just make us pay for it. Like they'll do it.
They would probably say it would be the easiest, best-selling Pokemon game of all time if they did that.
It's free money.
I don't understand what is their resentment toward the PC platform as a whole.
I think
Especially because the Famicom, going back to the old days, the Famicom literally stood for family computer.
I think
What's
it's
the problem?
this. They want a closed, controlled environment that they have complete control over. That's number one. They want to be able to control the experience, and they want to also make it a safe environment for children. And that has been at the core of their experience ever since day one with their video games. So I think that's really what it is. They want to be in complete control, and they also want to. They are also a publisher of games in addition to being a developer. They make so much money off of people selling games on eShop. I would actually say right now in the U.S. the preferred digital shop over all things, including Steam, is the eShop. Like if you are going to release a new indie title, the first place you would look is to the eShop rather than Steam because Steam's overcrowded. That's where you would find cute Zelda-ish kind of games.
One of the things like the memes you can see for you see that the actual the what is it called, the crowd the game meant for, and the crowd actually using the game, and all of the Nintendo games are like 20 30 something and 40 something nerds who just replaying their old the nostalgia things, and all the little tot players who are supposed to be all protected from the bad things and profanities are screaming at each other in Fortnite and Call of Duty games.
Yeah, there is the irony of that. But to be fair though, in the actual Nintendo environment, the 30, 40-year-old people can play their stuff with their kids and keep them in that environment, I suppose. Because online, talking to anybody, it's not just the games.
Mostly
you're going to encounter that shit.
Yeah, I mean, there is something to be said about I would probably be most comfortable if I had children with them being on Switch because I know that somebody's not going to, first of all, lure them anywhere. That's number one. Or number two, say a whole bunch of like racist garbage over Mike, which is something that I'm still shocked by every time I go onto any first-person shooter that's popular on any other platform. The amount of like homophobia and racism that is just like strewn about for no apparent reason. So I I think that Nintendo has a right idea about some things, but I do think they would make a lot of money off of their first-party properties, but they would also be losing the unique, um, the unique space that they've created where they make money off of other people.
I think there would be a method where you could eat the cabbage and the goat. So
It's all how you want to look at it. I mean, Nintendo isn't exactly hurting right now. They really
naturally,
like the position. Like
they
the
do
position that
then,
they're-
like they can make the up the umpteen billionth Mario game and Zelda game. So whatever makes them happy.
I mean, they're doing better than they ever have before right now. So I think the Switch has been a huge hit, and it's also the Switch is a unique product. They don't have any other competitors. Their biggest competitor in the portable space is phones, which doesn't even provide the same experience. Tablets, it doesn't provide the same
Don't want
experience.
to play
It just doesn't.
on phones because 99% of games are just gotcha things. They
Yeah, exactly.
want to rummage in your
Exactly.
pocket constantly.
Exactly. And Switch games are, an almost comparable console experience in the palm of your hand, and a lot of the games are well suited to it to begin with. So like and you know what? A lot of the ports, like the Doom ports, have been excellent to Switch. So they're nothing to
Those ports
sneeze
are
at.
not meant for the Japanese people.
It doesn't matter. Um, but yeah, like the ports of those games are good.
Well,
So
the thing that
all I was gonna say is I was gonna bring us back to our question is what does this mean for Sony? I don't think we know yet. Number one, but number
maybe
two,
move back to Japan, make their central area to Japan. I don't know. That
yeah,
would be a start.
I don't think that Microsoft is dumb enough to go say to make a sequel to Morrowind and not release it on every system possible. I think they are way too smart for that. They absolutely want to put the Elder Scrolls 5 on everything possible, just like they did with
Well,
Morrowind.
Well, I mean, Skyrim is
Or-
Elder Scrolls 5.
I you know what I mean.
Skyrim
The
from the
sequel to Skyrim.
umpteenth time.
Yeah.
The sequel to Skyrim. So I'm dating myself here. But
Yeah, which I still don't think we have a title. It's just the Elder Scrolls 6.
But whenever it comes out, it'll be a gigantic hit. Hopefully, it won't be like a gigantic misstep, kind of like Fallout 4 was a pretty damn big misstep, I would say. Fallout 4 is a good game, but it is not what people wanted, and it turned out to be a lot different than what people expected. So it's not as revered as Fallout 3 or New Vegas was, and people are still playing that. But Skyrim is still considered the best, and latest in Elder Scrolls. So they have potential for the newest one to be really great, and they should make it scalable for everything, just as they have with Skyrim. So I don't think they're dumb, to buy. Dumb enough to buy a whole bunch of really great franchises. I mean, the entire Doom franchise. You don't want to spread that all around. I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, they're especially now that Doom is considered a great franchise again.
Not to mention,
Well,
like, old school Doom is famous for being, I think, the literal most spread around game.
Yeah, exactly.
after Tag 2, I don't know where Hugo Martin and his lads are going to go.
I mean, they'll think of something. They'll come up with something different. I mean,
I hope so.
I mean, they have to. I mean, to survive. So I think that Microsoft is, out of all of the big companies to buy Bethesda, out of the major publishers, probably Microsoft would have been the best one for consumer friendliness, honestly. And I think they have enough money to not to make sure that bad launches don't happen again. Like Microsoft would actually delay a game rather than have a bad launch, because they have gigantic pockets, and it's only a fraction of their business. So I think Microsoft. I can't remember the last game that Microsoft put out that wasn't like good when it launched. I mean, like the Ori games were great when they launched. Cuphead was great when it launched. The last time that Microsoft flubbed was the Master Chief Collection, which was a long time ago now. And that was the Xbox One version of that. The PC version turned out pretty darn well. There are, I can't think of too many. Their Microsoft Flight game turned out really well.
Halo Infinite, it looks a little bit janky, but maybe
it's not out yet. It's not out yet. We can't make that judgment.
Yeah, I wanted to say it's not out yet. Like, it's going to be like.
And they're rightfully delaying it until it's ready. So that proves my point. I think they'll.
To be honest, like, frankly, like, the line was drawn of good Halo games when the actual developer left.
Bungie, yeah. I mean, Bungie's making Destiny, and only Destiny anymore. So,
have fun
I
with
can't
that.
believe they're not making Oni 2, the cowards.
Myth 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should wrap up for the night.
You know what
here.
they say, by the way, Vice? A myth is as good as a mile.
Yeah, I knew something like that.
They're going to make a new like marathon game.
That would be cool. I would settle for a modern remake of 3 games.
Basically, parts of Marathon has been used in Halo, so you can consider it that a little bit of a thing.
I mean, if we were going by that, we wouldn't need modern remakes of the System Shock games, but we're getting those anyway. All
right.
That is the show for this week. We want to thank all of our fans who contributed questions. Please keep us supplied with awesome topics.
One more. We got one more.
Yep. We need more. We need more. We need more in the hopper here. Otherwise, Lotus is going to have to ask me something I do not want to answer by submitting questions of your own via the YouTube and SoundCloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Tuesdays for our sister podcast, Reactive Consciousness, where we will talk about stuff I have no idea about yet.
And where can we find you?
You can friend me as vysethebold on pretty much everything.
Period. You can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up at Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, so Dark Souls 3 and more recently Obscure, getting in on exclusive live streams like old school Armored Core, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, which includes the aforementioned Obscure, or getting in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
And you can find me on Steam, Discord, and Skype under the name Dracologist, and on Twitch under the name doc_Dracologist.
Wonderful. Well, we will catch everybody on Tuesday then.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Good evening.